It's not cheating if he's my soulmate, she cried when I found the texts. I quietly walked out and filed for divorce. Hey viewers, before we move on to the video, please make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button if you want to see more stories like this. Thanks. When people ask how it ended, they expect drama, screaming, or some grand, cinematic fight. They assume I must have screwed up somehow, drank too much, stopped listening, or let myself go. They want the cheater to have a justification. But my story is simpler and, frankly, much more infuriating. The core of the betrayal wasn't that I wasn't enough. It was that I was too much of what she claimed she wanted, and she was too entitled to appreciate the quiet stability I built. For 7 years of marriage, I, Alex, was the anchor. I was the one who managed the spreadsheet detailing our 5-year financial plan, who set up the automatic investments, and who dealt with the leaky faucet and the complicated insurance claims. I worked in corporate finance, a solid, reliable career that afforded her the luxury of having a passion project instead of a job. That passion project was wellness coaching, and it slowly ate away at her common sense. Sarah started attending these expensive, New Age retreats. She'd come back talking about raising her vibration, living in flow, and manifesting abundance. I listened, I paid for the retreats, and I even listened when she started using that vocabulary to criticize me. I was too grounded, she'd sigh. I lacked depth. She said I thought our future was just about mortgages and 401ks, and not cosmic joy. I told her that mortgages and 401ks were what allowed her the time to look for cosmic joy, but she just dismissed me as a low-vibration cynic. A few months ago, she bought a burner phone, claiming she needed it to keep her coaching clients separate from her personal life. I didn't question it. Why would I? I trusted her. She was my wife. The betrayal came to light one rainy Tuesday. Sarah was away at a Manifesting Joy and Inner Alignment retreat. I was doing a deep clean of the home office and found the burner phone tucked into a drawer beneath a stack of inspirational self-help journals. It was powered off, but when I turned it on, the screen lit up with a flood of notifications for an encrypted messaging app. My heart didn't race. It felt like it stopped completely. I unlocked the phone. Her password was Divine Flow 11, and navigated directly to her conversation with a contact named David, the guide. David was a man she'd met at one of the retreats. He claimed to be a VP of regulatory compliance, which, given the ethical gymnastics I was about to read, was darkly hilarious. I scrolled up, the text turning my safe, stable life into a paper shredder. Sarah, Alex is comfortable, but he feels like an anchor. He doesn't understand the fire inside me. He thinks our future is just about mortgages and 401ks. You and I, David, we're on the same frequency. David, you deserve a life lived in flow, not in spreadsheets. You're an incredible woman. Your husband is just too small for your destiny. The most sickening realization was how smug they were, justifying their actions by making me the villain, the boring obstacle to her destiny. I kept scrolling until I hit the last exchange, the one that perfectly crystallized the narcissism. Sarah, I know. I feel so guilty sometimes, but the universe brought us together. I feel so bad for Alex, but I can't ignore this energy. David, don't feel guilt, feel alignment. We are following divine direction. Sarah, I know. It's not really cheating when it feels this cosmically right. It's soul alignment. I put the phone down on the desk. That quote, that was the sentence that detached my emotions completely. They had weaponized spirituality to justify selfishness. I didn't cry. I didn't rage. I felt a cold, clear resolve. She had just handed me the one piece of evidence I needed to proceed without a shred of guilt or regret. I spent the next 2 days executing what I dubbed the professional decoupling. I didn't call her. I didn't text her a warning. I called my lawyer, Frank, and worked with him to draft an uncontested divorce petition, citing irreconcilable differences. I was thorough. I secured the joint accounts, moving the vast majority of my investments into solo accounts, money that was undeniably mine before the marriage. I packed 2 suitcases of clothing and my work essentials. I arranged to stay with my brother, Mark, who only knew I was filing for divorce. I spared him the cosmic alignment details. When Sarah finally walked in that evening, she was radiating a self-satisfied, post-retreat calm. She was glowing, and it was hideous. She paused when she saw me standing in the living room, holding a briefcase, the entire space looking eerily sterile and clean. Sarah, oh hey, you're home early. I was just about to text David, actually. He's trying to work through some heavy energy stuff with his wife, but we connected so deeply at the retreat. She smiled, the smirk of a woman who thought she was untouchable. Why do you look so contained, Alex? Me? I filed for divorce, Sarah. Her smug look didn't drop, it solidified. She tossed her expensive leather tote onto the sofa, acting bored, not shocked. She'd clearly been rehearsing this conversation in her head. Sarah, sighing, playing the victim. Look, I knew we needed to talk about our paths diverging. I understand you're feeling low vibration about this, but you can't deny the universe is pushing me towards greater fulfillment. David is my soul-aligned partner. I'm not leaving you for him. I'm leaving you for my highest self. I didn't blink. Her excuses, justifications, and twisted logic were laid bare, and I refused to engage with the absurdity. Me, I saw the texts. I saw the one where you called me an anchor, and the one where you said David was helping you ascend to your destiny. More importantly, I saw the quote, "It's not really cheating when it feels this cosmically right. It's soul alignment." The color finally drained from her face. Her voice, however, remained condescending, attempting to re-establish control. Sarah, hollowly, that was private. You violated my privacy, Alex. And even if you read that, it's still true. You don't understand the level of connection we have. You're too logical. This relationship had completed its cycle. You'll be fine. Your life is simple. You'll be comfortable. If you loved me, you would understand that my happiness is the most important thing for the universe. I walked over to the kitchen island, placed a manila envelope on the marble, and slid the spare key across the surface. Me, I don't subscribe to cosmic contracts, Sarah. I only recognize legal ones. Inside that envelope is the divorce petition. It outlines the division of assets, which, since the evidence clearly shows emotional and financial misconduct on your part, is heavily weighted in my favor, protecting my premarital investments and savings. You can contact my lawyer, Frank, if you disagree. I've already contacted the movers. They'll be here tomorrow for the rest of my things. I'm gone. She stared at the envelope, realizing the financial security she felt entitled to was now gone, along with the anchor she despised. Sarah, panicked and aggressive, you can't do this. You're punishing me. You're taking everything. After 7 years, you're just going to walk out and ruin my financial future because I finally decided to choose me. Me? I'm not punishing you, Sarah. I'm simply managing the risk of poor investment. You chose David. You chose your soul contract. And you chose to define our relationship as nothing more than an anchor. I'm merely closing the spreadsheet on a failed venture. Your financial future is now entirely dependent on your manifesting joy business, not my salary. I grabbed my briefcase. I didn't apologize. I didn't offer comfort. I didn't wish her luck. I just stated the fact of her irrelevance. Me. I filed the papers. Goodbye. I walked out, closing the door on the toxic absurdity behind me. I drove straight to Mark's apartment, and I never looked back at the house that was no longer my home. I didn't look at social media. I didn't ask my friends about her. I didn't even check the divorce papers until my lawyer prompted me. Sarah had become a non-issue, a line item I'd cleared off a checklist. I was the ghost. The immediate, intense pain was surprisingly short-lived, replaced by an expansive feeling of peace, the quiet dignity that comes with knowing you chose self-respect over emotional engagement. The energy I had previously spent maintaining her expensive lifestyle and soothing her constant existential crises was now mine. I poured it all into my career. I accepted a highly specialized, fast-track assignment in another region, one that she had always vetoed because it meant moving farther away from her spiritual core circle. I moved to a new city where nobody knew me. I changed my number and my routines. The ambition she had scorned as boring now made me an asset. I thrived in the complexity of the new role, focusing on huge international corporate compliance audits. The irony wasn't lost on me. The dedication she despised was now making me invaluable, and the topic I specialized in, integrity and regulatory compliance, was the exact opposite of the delusion she was chasing. Within 18 months, I was promoted again, becoming the director of auditing for the division. I had effectively vanished. The only sign I was alive was the occasional professional update on a locked LinkedIn profile that she couldn't view. I didn't miss her or the life. I missed the idea of the life I thought we were building. But the reality was that I was happier, wealthier, and far calmer without the chaos of her divine guidance. However, I did hear one relevant piece of gossip through my brother, Mark, who still had some peripheral mutual contacts. The man Sarah called her soulmate, David, had a wife. And David's wife was Carla, a powerful, highly connected attorney who wasn't just interested in divorce. She was interested in scorched earth retribution against anyone who threatened her reputation. That detail, a small, cold piece of information, told me the karma clock was ticking, and it was about to strike midnight. I didn't have to wait long. About 6 months after the divorce was finalized, the clean, smooth separation I had engineered began to look like the calm before a storm aimed entirely at Sarah. David, the sole-aligned VP of Regulatory Compliance, was hit first. Carla didn't just file for divorce. She leveraged every contact she had in her husband's corporate sphere. David's company took integrity violations extremely seriously. When Carla presented irrefutable evidence of David's affair, including texts suggesting he was misappropriating company time for spiritual retreats with Sarah, he was quietly fired. Not resigned, fired. The ethics violation was too public, and his job was literally to uphold the corporate code. Sarah, meanwhile, was discarded just as cruelly as she had discarded me. David, facing financial ruin and public humiliation, immediately dropped her to focus on a desperate, humiliating, public reconciliation attempt with his wife. He needed Carla's influence, not Sarah's cosmic energy. Sarah's downfall was brutal and ironic. Her wellness coaching side hustle, which relied on projecting an image of stable, aligned, and high-vibration spiritual success, collapsed. Carla's network made sure the truth circulated, not just that she cheated, but that she cheated with a married man and had destroyed her own marriage for a fantasy. Suddenly, all the people who were flocking to Sarah's expensive retreats were demanding refunds, questioning her integrity, and canceling bookings. The market for spiritual guidance from a publicly exposed homewrecker evaporated instantly. The irony peaked when she lost the condo she had moved into with David. She had nothing. No career, no savings, because she wasted her share of the divorce settlement trying to keep up with David's previous lifestyle, and no boyfriend. The inevitable happened. She was forced to move back in with her mother, Eleanor, a woman whose toxic, passive-aggressive nature was legendary among our old mutual friends. Her highest self was now living in a judgmental basement, forced to ask her mother for spending money. The final piece of delicious, cold irony, David's public apology and attempt to save his reputation, involved him agreeing to give a series of highly visible, mandatory internal company seminars on rebuilding professional integrity and adhering to the code of ethics. The soulmate was now publicly teaching ethics to justify his own existence. I didn't feel sorry. I didn't feel glee. I felt the deep, satisfying closure of a perfectly balanced spreadsheet. Her betrayal was complete, and so was her consequence. The universe, it turned out, did recognize contracts, especially legal ones, and the social contract of integrity. The first contact after the karma hit came 9 months after David was fired, right when Sarah was forced to liquidate her business assets. I was busy preparing for a major audit presentation, and the email I received was from a throwaway account. Sarah, Alex, I got your new email from redacted friend. I know you probably hate me, but I'm in a truly desperate place. David left me with nothing. He was actually emotionally abusive, a complete narcissist. I know now how good you were to me. I need advice, Alex. Just financial advice. I don't know how to handle the debt from the business. Can you just point me in the right direction? You were always so smart about money. Please. This is the hardest thing I've ever been through. I archived the email. My piece was non-negotiable. I didn't respond to the request for financial help, recognizing it as a blatant attempt to reinsert herself into my life under the guise of necessity. A few weeks later, my phone rang. The caller ID was my brother's number, but the voice on the other end was sickeningly familiar. Eleanor, Sarah's mother. She had clearly pressured Mark into giving her my new number. Eleanor. Alex, darling, it's Eleanor. I'm just devastated about everything that's happened to my poor Sarah. She's completely broken. She's living with me, you know. I had to let her move into the basement. I'm sure you wouldn't want her living in a basement after all those years together. She's just so fragile. She feels like you completely abandoned her when she needed you most. You need to call her. She needs your strength. A good husband, even an ex-husband, doesn't just disappear when things get difficult for his wife. You owe her some closure, Alex. Me. Eleanor, thank you for calling. However, Sarah abandoned me when things were comfortable. I provided her stability, and she chose betrayal. The only thing I owe her is the legally sound division of assets which we completed. I don't provide closure to people who break my trust. Please ensure you don't call this number again, or I will block it. I hung up. Her attempt to use guilt and a perverse definition of spousal duty, even after divorce, to manipulate me was textbook Eleanor, and I refused to entertain it. The final direct attempt came 3 months later, a desperate call from an anonymous number that went straight to voicemail. This time, the remorse was gone, replaced by seething resentment and entitlement. Sarah, shouting, voice cracking, I know you're listening to this, Alex. You're a coward. You disappeared, and you destroyed my life. You think you're so high and mighty now, flying around the world, but you're the one who was too weak to fight for your marriage. You gave up. You took all the money and left me to deal with David's mess. You're not the good guy you think you are. You're just cold. You hear me? You're cold, and you're a miserable little man who only understands spreadsheets, and that's why you'll always be alone. Don't you dare ignore me again. I need to talk to you about the house. The house was sold, legally finalized 2 years prior. I listened to the whole message, not with emotion, but with clinical interest. That was the real Sarah, entitled, manipulative, and furious when her safety nets were removed. I saved the voicemail for the record, then blocked the number. The chapter was closed. I was emotionally unavailable. Thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button. What do you think about this story? Share it in the comments.